One of the few remaining acts of hope that I've seen on Capitol Hill occurred yesterday when a bipartisan group of senators unveiled a coronavirus stimulus compromise proposal that comes in at $908 billion. It's not perfect. Doesn't include stimulus checks, but it does include $300 billion a week for additional unemployment insurance, $300 billion for Paycheck Protection Program, $250 billion for state and local aid, a temporary liability shield, and $50 billion in health and vaccine distribution. Again, not my preference. I think those stimulus checks are necessary many times over, should be made universal and taxed back later. But at this time of immense economic uncertainty, I am willing to take whatever Americans can get. I expect that to be the position of anyone who calls themselves an economic populist at this moment. And yet, the very opposite seems to be happening. Take a look at the list of names of this bipartisan working group. The working group is Mitt Romney, Rob Portman, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, Pat Toomey, Mark Warner, Chris Coons, Joe Manchin, and Michael Bennet. What? The neoliberals and the deficit hawk GOP senators are the ones who are actually working to get something done here? Where exactly are the economic populist senators on the right and left? Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, creator of the PPP program, Marco Rubio, or Josh Hawley, who proposed the most advanced worker protections of any senator at the height of the crisis. What the hell is going on exactly? Why are the neoliberals the ones with any courage to actually try to do anything in the Senate? To date, actually, I'll give at least Rubio credit, as he was the only GOP senator on record to say he'd vote for the White House compromise bill. But it underscores a deep and terrible truth that has become very clear to me over the last couple of weeks since the election. If you want to win a presidential primary or be a national political figure within your own party with legitimacy amongst your base, you can't be seen as compromising too much, and you can't be seen as crossing the party on key litmus tests. Take a look around at all the Democratic senators that endorsed Russiagate, like Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. Take a look at the GOP, how they're talking about election fraud right now. In short, the culture war is the real driving force and beating heart of both parties. And when things become part of the culture war, you can kiss them goodbye, regardless of whether they're good policy or not. I think it's incredibly noteworthy that all the GOP names that are listed there among Republican senators, save for Rob Portman, are people who have crossed Trump publicly and survived electorally. It's not necessarily that Trump is against the stimulus, more that they have the proven ability to buck a little bit and survive. They can take the political hit of backing a bailout of state and local governments. Those who want to be president or want to avoid a GOP primary challenge at home and aren't in a similar position simply can't. Why? Because Trump has branded them badly run Democrat cities, because he's not really interested in bringing the country together. Many GOP senators are happy to oblige because they're deficit hawks and simply don't want to spend the money. For what it's worth, I've asked around. The key objection to state and local bailouts of blue states appears to be that they're upset about potentially bailing out blue state pension programs. Now, why you cannot condition aid so it doesn't go to pension programs is a great question. Not one that has a real answer, though, because it's not about policy. It's just the culture war. Hence, when John Thune, the number 2 Senate Republican, is asked about a compromise deal, guess what provision he said was going to be tough for his members? As for the White House, here's what they had to say about this plan. Quote, the Trump administration has been in ongoing talks with Leader McConnell and Leader McCarthy about a targeted COVID relief plan. The $908 billion proposal has not been a topic of discussion. Oh, okay then. So the only good faith effort to come out of Congress to actually deliver something for everybody is basically dead because Biden, Pelosi, and Schumer want their entire HEROES Act, and the Republicans put forward a proposal yesterday that we're going to talk much more about, which is essentially a joke. Obviously, this is complete madness. It's a true dereliction of duty. But it's an accurate representation of where we are. As a country with today's politics, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and Joe Biden cannot budge out of the gate and be seen to their base as compromising with Trump or McConnell or Mnuchin. Their all-or-nothing approach basically makes sense if you want to protect your left flank, even though it almost certainly cost some congressional Democrats on the margins during the election. On the right, it's the same thing. Any compromise is a violation of the culture war edicts and is being seen too soft or working with crazy Nancy or crying Chuck and abandoning the false god of deficit hawkery, or worse, giving liberals something or anything. As long as that remains the political truism of the day, nothing is going to get done. I fear very much that is exactly where things are going to go. I don't need to outline the stakes, but I will because I feel a real obligation to do so. Millions will be kicked off unemployment. the day after Christmas. Eviction moratorium expires on January 1st. Cases are going up. Democratic officials are locking down regardless of economic costs. And a lot of people have no clue what is waiting for them on the other side. Again, I really wish I could paint you a better picture, but I can't. And we'll have more Rising for you right after this.